there is something very important when it comes to the website, and it's to understand where in the customer's journey is the interaction. So once you understand that and you understand what is the website for, then you understand what type of website you need.
What's up, everyone? Thanks for joining us for another episode of Maverick Culture. So this time, I have someone that genuinely I'm so excited to talk to. We've interacted before, but as I knew that we were going to record, I was thinking, what are all of the things I would like to talk to my dear friend about? And I just started running through all these ideas, so I'm excited for the conversation. I have a friend of mine, Julio Arango, on the podcast with me. Julio, thank you so much for being a part.
Of course, man. Of course. It has been a really interesting weekend thinking about the podcast, thinking about being here. Because there's so many things we can talk about. So it is going to be a really cool phone call.
Yeah, man, no, I'm looking forward to it as well. And really important, how did I do on your last name? I was practicing before we hit record. Did I do okay?
Perfect. Arango.
Okay, all right, great. Sounds good. I'm glad. Man, one of the things I read, so I was looking at your bio somewhere, and I thought this was so interesting because it makes a lot of sense with what you do. And for those of you that are listening and you do not know, Julio is in the space of running an agency, a creative agency that focuses and niches in web design. So they build incredible websites that not only are beautiful, but also are effective and actually gets their clients results. So they're not just pretty looking, they're also productive as well. So before we get into that part of the conversation and talk through that stuff, something I read in one of your bios that I thought was really cool because I think it is this like blending together of what you do. I read that your mom's an artist and your dad's an engineer. Is that correct?
That is correct. Yes.
Yeah. So talk to me about that. Talk to me about growing up in a household with an artist mother, an engineer dad. Again, maybe there's nothing like, crazy about it, but to me, that sounds very interesting.
No, it is a juxtaposition of things, because my mother always say, "Oh, money doesn't matter," you care too much about money. She's always been into art, into music. She paints. She does professional painting, and if you walk around my house, you see 2 or 3 of her paintings, and
awesome.
And she's been doing it for 50 years. I don't know for how long.
Yeah,
and she never cared about anything business related or technology related. She barely knows how to use her phone. And on the other hand, I have my father, who's a businessman, he's already retired, but for many years he had a software company dedicated to banking software. So it's not only just software, but financial software. So it's very business oriented. So it has been a mixture of the two. And when I was going to go to college, what do I study? How do I mix all of this? So that's how I ended up doing what is known as commercial art. That's the name of the major commercial art. It's pretty much graphic design, but before the computer era.
Yeah, before that time, I'm not going to make you date yourself or give away that information. So
yes,
I'll nod along like I know what that's like. The time before graphic design. No, I'm kidding. Look, I grew up in a home. We didn't have computers weren't in the homes yet. Whenever I was growing up, so I'm right on that edge of that transition. So would you say that your parents did have a big influence in the passions that you had growing up, like the fact because obviously. Just because your mom's an artist and your dad's an engineer, I mean, you could have been a doctor, you could have been gone into math, whatever. But seeing your parents do the things that they did those things have an impact on the hobbies you would get into, the things you do with your free time? It had an impact on you?
Definitely, yeah, it did. I've always been into music, and that's part of my mother's side. I used to play in a band, and I even worked in a bar as a musician for my college years. So it has always been a part of who I am. And I never thought about being like a musician or an artist, because on the other side, I had my father who was always pushing the business part, the entrepreneur. You need to have a business, you need to grow your own business. It doesn't matter what you want to be. If you want to be a DJ, you have to be the best DJ,
Yeah.
and see it in a business perspective. So this is why I never pursued something more artistical. And I thought, well, the mixture of the two is definitely graphic design, illustration, advertisement, photography, and now web design.
Yeah. So what was that like for you, that journey of, so you go to school for, you said it was commercial design, is that what it was called, or commercial?
I went to study it in England. I was in
Oh,
London, and the
that's
major
awesome.
was called commercial art. So
Okay,
we did
commercial art.
photography, we did graphic design, all of like multimedia stuff, but just the beginnings, because at that time, we used to have films in our cameras and have a dark room to develop and all of that. So it was a little bit different than nowadays. Then I
Yeah.
went into learning how to develop websites and a little bit of coding and everything. And coding came a little bit easy because of my dad. So that's what I've been doing.
Yeah. And I could be wrong, correct me if I am. Are you from Panama? Is that where you're from?
Yes, I am from Panama.
Okay. So what was the connection of you going to school in London?
Oh, I graduated from high school, a U.S. high school here in Panama. When the
Okay.
when the military bases were here for the Panama Canal, and now it's a whole thing with Trump.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Um, they had U.S. high schools, and I graduated from a U.S. high school in Panama. So I didn't have to do anything to go into a European or American university because the US high school diploma was valid. So I applied for a university in London to study commercial art. And mainly the main reason was because my older sister didn't speak English. She never cared to learn English. So she went to England to study English. And because she was there, I thought, my father said, why don't you move to England? Your sister is there, is near. You can, you don't have to be all alone. You have family there. So
Yeah.
I thought it definitely is much better than going to the States. It's way more fun. So that's pretty
Hey,
much
wait,
the reason.
what you got against the States? Hold on.
The thing is that there's nothing against the States, but traveling around Europe is 100 times easier than
Yeah.
traveling inside the US.
Yeah,
It,
absolutely.
so for me, it was the opportunity of finding new places, meeting new
Yeah.
people, and here in Panama and being from a U.S. high school, we spend all the time, all our vacations in the U.S. So I've been in the U.S. 100 million times. This was the opportunity to go somewhere else, somewhere different. So I took that opportunity.
Yeah, I was thinking that, you've had that experience because you even going to a US based high school, and so it gives you something that is unique. Well, just real quick, what was that like? How long were you in London? What was that experience like?
It was an amazing experience. I spent 3 years there. It was really cool. I used to work in a bar as a percussionist, part of a small little band that played in the bar 3 times a week, and the rest of the time I was in school.
That's
I did
awesome.
a few other stuff, but that was mainly it. And it was interesting because every time you go to a place like that where it's so international, you meet people from everywhere. We didn't have any like real British friends. We were people from Spain, Croatia at that time,
Wow.
Yugoslavia, uh, everywhere, France. So it was a very interesting experience. Yeah.
That's really cool. And whenever you finished up school, you were pretty much just there for school? Did you ever think you would potentially live there, or you knew that you wanted to come back home? What was that transition like coming back?
No, from there I moved to the States.
Okay.
I did move to Florida, and I spent 2 more years in Tampa,
Yeah,
where I was
that's right. Yeah,
studying.
after you got your London fill, you wanted some US time. That's what I
Yes, definitely.
thought.
Yeah, I moved to Tampa for a while to finish business school, because to have also a business degree.
Yeah.
And it was very interesting. It was really cool. We had a blast. Of course, it was the same university. It was the same
Okay.
university that had the Schiller University had campuses in Tampa, London, Madrid, eh, Zurich, several other places, Melbourne in Australia. So you could move between the different campuses, but I just went from London to Tampa.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that's awesome. You get some time with the business side learning that. So, did you know early on, it sounded like your dad was definitely steering you in that direction, not just simply for something business, something monetary, but also specifically for entrepreneurship, right? And running your own business. So, from the jump, was that a part of the plan for you, not to just be an employee somewhere, to work somewhere, but
Oh
to
no.
start your own business?
Yes, that from the start.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So, wait,
it doesn't
the
matter
way you
what.
reacted, yeah, I was gonna say the way you reacted a second ago whenever I brought like bringing an employee somewhere, was that like something your dad was like, you will not go work for someone, you will start your own business? Was that like a big influence of his?
Yes, of course, he said you need to learn with somebody else's money.
Yeah.
Go work
That's
for
good. Yeah.
someone,
That's
learn,
good. That's
and
good.
then you put your own. You open your own
Uh,
business.
I like that. Go learn with look, that I think that alone is a great takeaway lesson for people that want to start their own business or become an entrepreneur.
No,
Go
not
learn with
yet.
someone else's money.
Go learn with somebody else's money. Yes, and it's his phrase. He said it 100 million times. So
Yeah. That's awesome. Well, so talk about that. So you finish up school, were in London, you finish up your time in Tampa to with business stuff. So you move back to Panama, and what are those years like now that you've wrapped up school? Did you spend time working at a place to learn with someone else's money? Were you able to do that while you were in school?
I did work in the US. I worked in several places while I was in school. I used to work in a hotel in their offices. We did a little bit of marketing, mainly a little bit of administrative work, just as a regular, in-house employee. Do this, do that, whatever they asked me to do. But inside the administration department. So it was really cool. I did help also once in a while in the operations department, but it was more like customer relationships, stuff like that.
Mhm.
So it was really interesting. I also, while I was in Tampa, I became a diving instructor. I love diving. One of my favorite sports is scuba diving. So I became an instructor. So when I moved back to Panama, I started two little businesses. I would teach scuba diving during the weekends, and I would do websites during the week. Small websites for little companies.
Yeah. What was it like? Again, I'm not trying to date you or anything, but when you were getting started with web design, right? Because now we have so many, people think of Squarespace and WordPress and Webflow, Wix. I mean, there's just, options endlessly. What was web design, building websites like back when you were first getting started? How, what was that initial market in industry like?
We're talking about 24 years ago.
Yeah.
That's a long time ago. I've been doing websites since 2001, something like that.
Wow. That's crazy.
So of course, at the beginning it was mainly coding. I
Mhm.
learned HTML, I learned PHP way before all these tools that nowadays make it so easy.
Yeah.
And of course, then the Flash came in, and with all this movement and images using Flash, it was an amazing thing. So it was very interesting. So because it was learning from scratch, all of this in when I was in the university in 95, 96, 97, websites were not yet something that would people just do. That was
Yeah.
The internet was so new that it wasn't something that they would teach in school yet. So it took me another couple of years to learn how to do it by myself, and that's how I started. So it was easy because nobody knew how to do it.
Yeah. Were there a lot of businesses that were looking for websites, or was there a lot of, we don't know what that is, sounds too complicated, potentially too expensive, or was there this mass rush of everyone like, we got to get on the internet, we got to get a
Oh no,
website? What
there
was
was
that
a
like?
rush. There was a rush.
Okay.
Yes,
Yeah.
and websites were so simple that if you learn how to code, you could do a website in 2 3 days.
Wow.
So it was quite easy because and there were no standards whatsoever, so you could do whatever you wanted because everything was new. So whatever you did was okay.
Yeah, yeah. The fact that you just simply had one. And what was like because now whenever we think of making a website and we do build a website, kind of like you mentioned, you could do whatever you want. Now there are expectations, it's a part of this larger marketing funnel. You have a copywriter, you have your calls to action. You want to make sure the above the fold speaks to the value that you provide uniquely and targets your market and gives them clarity, and then that connects to this funnel, to that email service, to this webflow automation lead. Like that is building a website for a business today, and we'll get more into those specifics. I'm just I'm talking our language, that general picture. So what was the purpose or the goal of a business having a website? Was it kind of like a social media page, almost like just informative, this is like our online brochure? Was it this part of this marketing funnel? What was the purpose behind them?
It's funny the way you put it because you talk because you know the subject, so you know
Yeah.
about the everything. When you talk about above the fold,
Yeah.
that's a term that very few people know.
Yeah.
In our world, it's a very common term, but when people ask me to build a website for them, I'm working with a company. There are doctors that they're creating a protocol for autism patients, especially kids, and they have no idea about web design or anything. So I talk about above the fold, for example,
Yeah.
and they have no idea what I'm talking about. I'm talking Chinese to them
Yeah.
and funnel and all of that. So when you say it that way, it's because we know the
Yes.
subject, but most people don't. Most people
Yeah.
you need to take them step by step and explain that.
Mm-hmm.
And that is probably one of the things that makes it different. The fact that we understand that now. And when I say we build websites that actually work, is because we focus on those things.
Mm-hmm.
Nowadays, and it's the opposite to 20 years ago, you have very good graphic designers that create beautiful things, but are not optimized at all. They are not thinking about those little things. How is this going to connect with the funnel? How is the interaction going to be integrated to get the email response and to do this and that? How is the SEO going to be optimized? They don't think about that. Before, 20 years ago, you had only programmers who did websites, but they didn't think about how it would look. It was just very ugly static pages with a lot of information, valuable, I don't know, interesting,
Yeah.
probably, but it was there. So it's the complete opposite. It has been
Yeah.
a switch, a 180-degree switch from just thinking about programming and the technical part to nowadays just thinking about how beautiful it looks. So the
Yeah.
mixture of that is what makes it work.
Yeah, I feel like, dude, there's a part of me, now everything is there's so much information, there's so much knowledge, there's so much tracking, there's so much, I almost think of times back then, whether it's website building or it's advertising, part of me just feels like, the good old days, which I'm sure everything has its challenges. Everything has its pressures. I would never want to say that people weren't working as hard back then as we are today or anything like that. But I just think about how now, I literally was just off of a phone with someone who is going to become a new client of mine. And that is exactly the conversation we were having about their website. We were talking about, hey, this website looks good, but can it it convert. And you can get as much traffic as you want to it, but ultimately, if the website is not able to convert that traffic, if it's not able to get the people into a funnel, is it worth you spending all this money to just simply make it look beautiful, to just make it look good? But there's a part of me that's like, oh, that sounds so nice. Just be able just to make something and just a bunch of information. And that's it. Like you said, was it, driving more business? Who knows? Increased sales? Probably, maybe, but we don't know. I'm like, man, that sounds like a good time to be involved in that world and in that space.
No, it was interesting because everybody wanted a website.
Yeah.
Oh, why do you need a website? Because everybody is getting websites. And if you don't have a website, you are, left behind.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yellow pages still exist, but you need to have a website.
Yeah.
Why? I don't know, but you need to have a website. And it was interesting because you did need it. People would actually look for it just because, not to maybe to see if you were really in the world as you said you were, and that still works. That's still the case.
It seems like it was functioning at least the goal was some sort of a status symbol to say that, like, hey, the fact that I have this website, it's kind of like when you look at those, badges that people have on their profiles, like I'm a certified whatever. It's like ultimately people don't know really what that is, or they don't know what it took for you to get that oftentimes, right? Obviously there's some certifications we know about, but it's like just the fact that you have this badge thing and you've been certified by this organization, whoever they are. It's like, it's that thing of status, but it builds a sense of trust. It builds a sense of authority. So in that sense, it's like, hey, we can nitpick. Does that make sense? Does that not make sense? All we want to. The fact is it works in the psychology of people. It is something that is persuasive. It is something that establishes authority. So you should have one, regardless of the merits of it or not. The fact that people do look for it and it does speak something to them, it's valuable to have. So
yes.
Well, I know we could talk because I find all that fascinating. But so talk to me now that you've laid out what it was like today, what it was like back then. As you've been in this space, what has that evolution been like? How has it been going from, we left off the part where you were teaching some scuba diving lessons and everybody wanted a website. So you would throw a website together. So take us through that journey of moving throughout these 24 years. What has kind of been, obviously you can't give every moment, but I guess cornerstone moments, pivot moments in your journey as an entrepreneur in this industry. What has that been like?
After working for a while, and working with several companies on their branding and their image and their website, I was finally asked by my father to join our family company, our business, the software development company. So my idea was to join the company for a couple of years, learn more about business and sales, because while I was selling websites, I right there understood the importance of knowing how to sell something.
Yeah.
It was incredibly difficult without any kind of training to actually sell the websites, especially because of the price, negotiating price, learning how to, manage objections and all of that is well known nowadays. By then, it was different. So I did join the company. And I ended up staying for 16 years.
Wow.
We even sold the company to a U.S. corporation. They own several other companies. And when we sold it, they asked me to stay. And I became the CMO for the past 7 years. For the last 7 years that I was there, I was their CMO. And we had clients in 14 different countries, and here in Latin America and in the United States. And it was a very interesting experience because they brought their knowledge books. This is how marketing is done for all of our companies. This is how customer service, everything is done. So it was a very cool experience to learn from them. They brought all this knowledge these very specific things on how to work and how to do things. So it was a very interesting way on seeing how huge corporations and these type of companies manage all their portfolio companies around. So it was incredible. At the end, after 7 years of being the CMO, I'm like, I am kind of tired. This is it. What am I going to do next? There's nothing above. I
Yeah.
already made it to the C level. So this is when I decided to quit and open the studio.
Got it. I saw on a LinkedIn post recently, Julio, you talked about it was pretty recent. I think you made this LinkedIn post. You talked about how when things started for you, you dabbled as this, or not even dabbled, but you were this generalist marketing agency. And I'm listening to your experience, spending time as a CMO, even what you went to school for, the fact that it's this commercial art. And so you're learning all of these different things. You have a dad who's an entrepreneur. You're working in these different levels of business, but how you went from being this generalist marketing agency to taking that step to niche down and to really specialize into web development. What was that experience like for you? What was it like starting off with that generalist marketing agency, but then realizing, okay, and I think you said you had like 8 or 9 different services or something like that too. No, let's really lean in. Let's focus. Let's make websites. Let's make great websites.
I am the kind of person who likes to learn how to do stuff, even if I don't do it myself. Because that way, when you talk to people, you can actually ask for things. I need you to edit this video in this way. And the only way as a CMO to really understand how the entire marketing department worked is because first I knew how to do it most of the things, but then whatever I didn't know, I learned. I learned how to edit videos. I learned how to do all sorts of stuff. So when I created Dancing Pills, I thought, well, I know how to do all of these things. Let's do them all. So when you went into the website, we did, of course, websites. We did graphic design, illustration, typography design, packaging, video editing, photography, and all sorts of things. And I think it's important that you actually do them all, but you don't offer them all.
Yeah.
For example, if I'm doing a website, I ask for several things before we start. I need your brand guide. So I know colors, fonts, typography, all of that. I need your assets book. Where are your icons and your illustrations and the type of photography that is allowed? We don't have anything. We don't have none of that. Okay, we can create it for you. So that's an extra service on besides the website. Okay, so we're gonna need photos of your products to put on the website. Please make sure to deliver. Oh, we don't have a product for the website. There's no photography for. So we need to take the photos. Okay, we can do that. So at the end, you end up providing all those 9 services, but because you're building a website, and they're gonna use those assets for later on. But it's so much easier to sell it when they have a purpose. Oh, I'm going to sell product photography. Why do I need product photography? Oh, because when you build a website, you need product photography. So it's
Yeah.
easier to do it that way. It's not that I don't offer those services, it's that those are related services to the web design.
Yeah. So it was more about how you positioned yourself in the market,
Exactly.
how you communicated what it was that you were doing. Man, that's so insightful because I've struggled with that. I think many of us when we do start businesses, we struggle with that because we're in that space where we are trying to make money. And so we, it's the typical cycle. You say yes to what comes your way because you have bills, there are things to pay. And to some extent, I understand that natural progression because sometimes, unless you typically, if you don't have deep experience in something, you don't really know what you want to focus on or what you want to specialize in. Now, for some people, they will spend years and years and years in a specific industry or developing a certain skill set. So they have an idea. But for other people, that might be starting a business and there are a lot of different facets of your business and you don't exactly know which one you want to make the thing, kind of that tip of the spear you lead with. It can be overwhelming to try to make that decision, and you may not have the data you need to make the right decision. So I get there, for some people, there's that natural progression of starting off as a bit of a generalist. It gives you the chance to work with a few different people, provide a few different services. But in that journey, you really should be honing in on, I really like working with these types of people, these clients. I really like providing these types of services the most. But like you said, even though you still provide those things, the way you are positioned, that is what is very important to the market. Because, it's like the cliche example, you go to the restaurant and the menu, there's 10 pages, there's all these different, they got pastas, they got pizzas, they got burgers, they got chicken, they have steak, they have fish, they seafood. It's too, I mean, it all looks good. It all looks great, but I don't even know what I would want to pick. And the fact that you do all of these things, the fact that you are making pizza and seafood and steak and burgers, is it really going to be that great of a pizza? The fact that you do all this stuff.
Exactly. That is important. But if you only sell the pizza and you go in and you say, oh, we have some entries, maybe you want some garlic sticks or,
Exactly.
We also have a few desserts,
Mm-hmm.
Oh, and we have these 3 salads.
Yeah.
But what we sell is pizzas.
Yeah.
Pizza plates.
Yeah.
But,
Yeah.
so that's what it is. It's just making sure you position yourself in a way that you sell what you're most passionate about. And that's important because I don't imagine myself, I know photography, I know how to use a camera, I know how to do it because I did learn it in school. But I don't imagine myself taking photos in a wedding. That is definitely not what I would like to do. And that might sound so fun for other people. They are more extroverted, so they want to be outside talking to people. I'm in events, taking pictures. I'd rather be here in my studio, relaxed, designing a website.
Yeah.
I need to take a few photos for the website. I can do that, but it's not what really drives me. So it is important. What are you good at that you actually enjoy and you can make money doing it?
What is it about web design that you find passion in that? You find that sense of enjoyment and pleasure. It can be practical or it can be something deeper. I think even broader, just your whole business, your studio. What is it about what you do that is meeting that need, that want in you for a passion?
Maybe it has to do a little bit that is comprehensive, because you need to know graphic design, you need to know development, you need to know, even if you're not going to take the photographs or do the illustrations, you need to understand photographic terms and stuff to choose properly, and also with illustration and digital illustration nowadays, and motion graphics, because now all the websites need to have animations and interactions. So when you understand a little bit of all of that and you know how to mix it together in a way that makes sense, that's probably what I like about the most, because it's not just one thing. It's a mixture of things.
Yeah. So you like the fact that it gives you an outlet to keep all of these skill sets of yours, all of these gifts that you have. It gives you an outlet to still make use of them, but it's packaged together as this one thing. So it brings a sense of simplicity, a sense of cohesiveness and clarity, but it also gives you something comprehensive that you can still flex all of these creative muscles you've built over the years.
Yeah, and the cool thing is that I can do it by myself. I am not too fond of having too many people around. While I was in the company, we were over 120 people, and I had in my team a team of 44 people. So I already had the opportunity of managing large teams and all of that, and it's not as fun as you might think. Oh,
Yeah.
44 people in your team. Yeah, man, that's not fun at all. You are the father of 44 brats.
Yeah, dude, I
It's
am.
horrible.
No, I get it, man. I look, dude. I am holding on for as long as I can to be a solopreneur, as they call them. I'm like hanging on for as long as possible because I do enjoy. There's a lot of good. There's a lot of benefits of being able to work by yourself as much as possible. And not that you don't
Yes.
contract or white label, but just that, day to day grind of not needing to worry about managing people. And again, there's a lot of benefits of scaling with people and growing and building a team and having that. So I'm not knocking that. But
No, no,
what, like
definitely
you were
not. We have
saying,
we have people here. I'm
yeah,
not by myself.
yeah.
I have an editor and a graphic designer and an accountant. So I have several. I just don't have them here in my office.
Yeah.
And my work does not depend on them. Their work
Yeah.
depends on me because I assign work, but I don't depend. My job doesn't depend on any. Of course, the clients, they need to
Yeah.
provide the information and everything, but is my work is not dependent on anybody. So this is a little bit of what I like about it. And now that I've been scaling and hiring people, because now I have the editor and the graphic designer that are full time, is going back to understand that in order to grow, you have to scale up. That's it. I
Mm,
cannot continue doing everything. And I've been trying to hold it for as long as I can, but the business is actually growing. And the
yeah.
post you mentioned on LinkedIn is actually talking about that. I started with some problems, and those problems were understanding my niche or understanding my specialty, focusing on what I really want to do. And now my problems are these new ones. Having
Yeah.
to start working with people again, because I've been doing it for so long by myself that, it is hard to take time in the morning to go over what the graphic designer is doing, if she's correct, if she's handling work properly, because then my wife is the one that pays roll and everything. She takes care of all the accounting and all of that with the accountant. So at the end of the week, did the guys deliver everything they needed to deliver this week? Because we pay them weekly. Uh, so I need to go in and make sure that the clients are happy and all of that. So it's been a little bit. And now that we're growing, I need to hire a new one. So it's a lot of work.
Yeah. Well, what encouragement would you give to someone like me, a business owner who is doing well, a good client load, things are happening, but I am feeling that place of okay, I can either just keep things where they are, but as far as, I'm primarily running the show, doing a little bit of everything and, delivering. However, if I do want to grow, right, it is going to require that I start building that team, diversifying, whether these are people that, again, just freelancing contracting, whether these are people that you start looking at actual employment, part-time, full-time, things of that nature. What encouragement would you give to someone like me who's at that threshold
Oh,
and needs to start making that pivot?
it needs to be done. That's something that it doesn't matter how much you want to be a freelancer or a solopreneur. It needs to be done because there's a moment in time where you want to be able to just lay back and let things happen. And the only way that is possible, that you can actually go on vacation and nothing happens, is because there's someone else doing the job.
Yeah.
And maybe start with something that it is important but you don't want to do. For example, video editing. I don't like video editing. I know how to do it. I have a YouTube channel, so I have to edit videos for my YouTube channel. Of course, we do social media. It is important. So, and After a while, I do social media for my clients as well. It's not a service that I provide or that I offer in the website, nowhere. But if the client requires me to do social media after the website is done, we do their social media. So we need people to do posts and reels and all of that. And I don't like editing. It takes too much time. So that was the first thing I gave away.
Yeah. Yeah. If there was something that I would love to give away, which is why I'm not consistent with it at all. And part of the benefit that doing things like this, it helps me with, man, I really do not like just social media. I don't enjoy it. Like posting on social media, thinking of content to put out. I don't like it at all. But it's very important for what I do. And again, even part of the
Definitely.
benefit of doing this is it gives me an opportunity to create content in a way that's so much more enjoyable. I get to talk to people that I know I want to learn from, people that I respect, people that I love, as opposed to me, trying to sit down, type out a little marketing, tidbit script, and then I got to record it. Then I got to bring in all the assets and the audio and the editing and write the caption and things like that. It's definitely something that I would love to give to someone else.
Yes, definitely. And one of the reasons we started doing that for clients is because that way we can hire someone to do it for the clients and they also can do it for Dancing Pels.
Yeah.
Because at the beginning I would tell the clients, no, I don't do social media management. That we don't offer that. I'm sorry. Oh, do you have anyone you can recommend? And I say, no, not really. I know these 2 or 3 companies here in Panama that actually can do it. But and I thought to myself one day, why am I giving business to the business across the street? Let's just do it. I am not going to do it. That's for sure.
Yeah.
So how much can I charge? How much is going to cost me for someone else to do it? And that's how I ended up doing it. I have
Yeah.
nothing to do with it. I created the templates. This is how you design for this client. This is how you design for this client, and so on. And you have to follow these guidelines. And everything is well written, explained, and with several examples. So they just go ahead and do it. And I have 2 different graphic designers. So I choose which designs are better. I take ideas also because they bring new ideas that I probably didn't think of. And that's how we created the image. And now they're working. And I don't have anything to do with that. I don't even pay them. All I have to make sure is that the work is done, that they follow the guidelines, that the client's happy, and that's it. I tell
Yeah.
my wife, you can pay.
Yeah. I love it. No, I love. For a second, I was like, "Wait, you're not paying these people? Like, that's the secret. Tell me how you're not paying them."
I don't even pay them. Yeah, it's not me. I don't have to worry about that. I don't
You're like,
even
"They're
have to
getting
pay.
paid. They're getting paid. It's just
Yes,
not
they're
me.
getting
I'm
paid.
not the one."
Exactly. And this is what is important. Because and I was talking to someone about it, and I'm like, I have nothing to do with money. Nothing. I do not pay any software platforms, uh, nothing. I don't charge any clients. I don't know if the clients have paid or not. I don't. I do come up with the price. I tell
Yeah.
the clients, this is how much it's going to cost you. I turn around. I tell my wife, this is how much they need to pay. So she had, and I forget about it. You need to be able to trust whoever it is, and of course, because she's my wife, I trust her blindly with the money. But
Yeah.
if it's not her, whoever it is, you need to trust them. At the beginning, I was very, very conscious about checking every little detail about the designer's work. But little by little, I start saying, oh no, they don't make mistakes. They don't make mistakes. So I stopped caring that much about it and let them run and let them be creative. And it works. You just have to trust the team.
Yeah.
Yeah. It is hard because you you need to build a team that people that are trustworthy. And I had so many graphic designers. Week by week, I would fire them. No, this didn't work, didn't work, didn't work, didn't work. Finally, I got these two that work. And it's funny because I tried hiring young people
Mhm.
and it didn't work as I expected. They know about more about social media, and they are more interactive in social media, and they know about artificial intelligence, because now everything we do is backed up with artificial intelligence tools. Everything we do is we incorporate AI on everything. So it didn't work. For some reason, now I have an older, she's not an old woman, but an older
Mhm.
designer. She's probably hitting 40s, something like that. It's not a kid. She's actually a mother, and she has worked perfectly. So it
Yeah.
works.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, before we get into talking about like some more web stuff, I think for you, I love where the conversation is, because obviously when I'm scheduling the call and I'm thinking about what you do and it's website building and things like that, but I really think I'm hitting on something I want to just hear more from you about. Well, for you, what is that goal you're working towards when it comes to your business and it comes to what you are doing? Do you want to get to the point, or are you at the point, or do you like where things are now where you really can function as that oversight? Obviously, you will always be involved in what's happening, but is that the goal, that you are providing that oversight, you're seeing what everyone's doing, making sure that the quality is being maintained, clients are happy, but you can kind of pivot out of the implementation, because I'm sure to some extent you are still doing that stuff. Or do you like it where things are? You always want to have a place within the business where you are doing the implementation, you're doing some of that stuff. What for you is the goal of scaling?
I actually love doing websites, doing them myself. That's
Yeah.
something that I haven't yet uh, put aside to give someone else. I've been doing them myself so far because I enjoy doing them. What I've been noticing is that technology is catching up. Nowadays you can get a website for $500, and you hire these kids that they would probably do a nice small website, very static, very template based, but you can get a $500 website. Nowadays, you can use an app to build that $500 website for $49. So AI is taking over a lot of things, and AI is taking over those websites. Now you can use Gamma. Gamma was an app to do PowerPoint presentations, like pitch decks and stuff like that. Now they have a website builder. You write a prompt and you have your website. And it's an okay website. Nothing like we do here at Dancing Pels, but it works. So for those people who do $500 websites, they don't have a job anymore, because now AI can do those websites. One day, AI is going to be so advanced that it is going to be able to do the type of websites we do, very customized, personalized, very high quality websites, only by prompting. So that's happening. What are we going to do about it? So I've been thinking about that. That's where I am right now. How I'm going to pivot, because probably 3 years is too long. Probably it's going to happen sooner than 3 years, but it's going to happen. Where are we going to be, and how are we going to do it? That's where I am right now. And this is why for the past 2 years, I've been teaching AI. I give workshops and conferences here in Panama and in Colombia about the use of AI for commercial purposes, for sales, for marketing, for branding, how we use it every day. So I started doing that, and it has picked up really cool. So I've been thinking about moving towards that niche, teaching how to
Yeah.
use AI.
Yeah, I was curious about that. I didn't know if we would end up getting there in the conversation or not. Because quickly, let me just say for sure, we're gonna have more conversations. Just know that because I'm loving where this is going. Because that's actually what we first met over. It was about a workshop that you were planning and you were doing, and so you were looking for some help, some input with the workshop and public speaking and organizing a workshop. And so we connected over that and the coaching group that we're a part of, the Future, Chris Doe's coaching community, and that's what we did our first call on. So it was us talking about you doing an AI workshop. So I was curious what that has been like. Well, so I'm aware of the fact that AI is able to step in, and you're talking about kind of these template based websites, and so websites that somebody would build using like a Squarespace or something like that you are now having AI being able to just do that simple. What are some of the AI tools that when it comes to web building? Because one of the things I wanted to talk with you about is that you have about clients who are needing a website, but maybe they don't have the budget, or they aren't making the revenue yet. But having websites is important, right? It's kind of like one of the first things you should be looking to have established when you're starting a business or building a business. And a lot of people prioritize that. But the type of stuff that you're doing, I could see tons of people thinking like, man, I can't afford that. What encouragement would you give them when it does come to building a website? Would you encourage them to find that $500 young person who can, throw a site together that's decent? Would you steer them towards some of these AI tools? And if so, which AI tools? A blend of both. What would you recommend for that business owner when it comes to getting a website built?
Actually, that is something that happened to me probably a month ago. A friend of mine started his own business. So as soon as he quit his job and he was starting his business, he said, "Oh, I need to talk to you because you already did it, and I want you to tell me your story, how you're doing." And we met here at the office. He came, he brought some pizza, and we started talking about his company. He is building his company from scratch. And I told him, well, this is what we do. This is how I started. We tell him the story about Dancing Pels. And he said, "Can you do the website for us?" And I said, "Man, you don't need my website. You don't need a website like the ones I have. It would be too expensive for you. Go to Squarespace, get a nice template, and put together a website. Very simple. Go to ChatGPT and ask ChatGPT how to build a homepage using Squarespace. Tell him about your business, how do you what is it that you do and how you're going to manage it and all of that, and ChatGPT will tell you how to build your homepage and do it. You don't need to know about graphic design because Squarespace has great graphic design, and it's going to cost you nothing. When you have a huge business and you need to have a bunch of other stuff and interactions and connectivity and your CRM connected to your funnel and all of that, then we can talk. But don't worry about that.
Yeah. I love that advice because one, it's very affirming for me because I'll actually see businesses do what I think is a mistake. And you let me know if you agree with this or not. Sometimes what happens is they will decide, okay, I know websites are important, they see it as an investment. And so they don't have a lot of happening financially, but they choose to invest in some custom website built on WordPress. And, the whole thing gets created. But what will then often happen is they have they choose to use borrowed money or go in debt, or even if they scrounge together the funds to invest in a very well built website. But then typically that's kind of like all the money that they had available for the website. So the person builds it and then just hands it off. Now this client is stuck with the website that's custom built, and they try to log into the dashboard to make a change or an edit or add a page. And so my encouragement to people has always been, what you just said is, hey, you should just go to Squarespace. Like if you need help, I will help you. If you want me to build it, I will build it. Or if you just want me to coach you, I will coach you. But honestly, if you have the time, because some people are like, I'm sure I could use ChatGPT. I'm sure I could learn it myself, but I would rather just pay someone, to do it or whatever. But I'll just tell them like, look, just have a Squarespace site because when it's time for you to then upgrade, we can look into that. They can look at what you've built. And honestly, to some extent, I feel like moving from that to a better website even works because it's like, okay, I see what you've built. We can use that as kind of an idea, depending on if it's at least somewhat decent. Obviously, if it's a piece of garbage, you just throw away the whole thing and you just, build from scratch. But it at least gives you an idea of what they've done and how they've branded themselves and positioned themselves. So there can be something to kind of pull from that. So I was curious what your thoughts would be to that because I'm thinking like, okay, you are the web design professional. And so I didn't know if you would scoff at that, like, no, they need to spend the top dollar on the site and invest. Or if you're like, dude, just use Squarespace to get things going. Because same thing, like I've worked with clients where, depending on if they want to contract out for this full messaging package and brand stuff and trying to figure all that stuff out. And sometimes I just ask them like what budget they have to work with. And I'll tell them like, look, I'm gonna be honest with you. I do not think that contracting me out to develop this full messaging scheme for your business is what you need right now. Just go to ChatGPT, go run some of these prompts. Like this will give you a great place to start with. This will get the ball rolling. And then once the ball's rolling, then, we can move into something bigger. So it's affirming to know that even someone of your caliber is telling people, look, just go to Squarespace and get the
Yes.
site built.
No, and the cool thing about it is that once they start doing business and working, they will go back and ask you, hey, we're already selling $500,000 a year. Now we can afford a $5, 6, 7, $8,000 website. So let's do it. Now we have, and now we understand why we need a website. Because the other thing is that why do you need a website? Oh, because everybody has a website. Yeah, but everybody has a website for different reasons.
Yeah.
What are your reasons for needing a website?
And you're like, look, it's not the year 2000, 2001 anymore. We need a reason.
Exactly. Because what are you going to do? Generate leads, or you already have the leads and you only have to generate trust and position yourself? Or are you going to sell something online, or what is it? Sell courses.
Yeah.
So it is, you have to take them by hand and show them this is the way.
Yeah.
And once they understand that the reason is so important to actually design the website, because they're completely different things, probably using different platforms. So once you understand that, then you can ask for a customized website. Because there's a purpose on that.
Yeah,
just
that makes so much sense.
Customized for because it's beautiful, it's not enough.
Yeah. Are there any right now, are there any AI tools, again, when it comes to web building, other than, again, talking with ChatGPT and having it talk you through building the site on Squarespace, here's how you can do a layout, here's some ideas for copy. Are there any tools that you would recommend for a beginner, a brand new business owner that they really could just like prompt and it can just output a website? Or the AI is not quite there yet, you wouldn't recommend a beginner go that route? You would recommend the Squarespace with ChatGPT more for that beginner when it comes to the website? Or is there an AI tool that you feel like is really good at that?
No, not yet. Not yet.
Yeah.
These tools like Wix and Squarespace, they are heavily integrating AI to help. So probably, I understand Wix has this new platform that is called Wix Studio, something like that. That is a mixture of what they used to sell as X Studio and Wix, that you can generate sections of the website just by prompting. So those are the types of tools that I do recommend when you're starting. Don't go to a Gamma or something like that, because they're just beta testing right now. They're gonna be done and they're gonna look cool and they're gonna be perfect, but not yet. So someone like Wix or Squarespace that has been building websites for so long now integrates AI. That is the type of tool that I recommend.
Yeah. And what would you... Oh, I'm sorry. Were you saying something?
It makes it easier. And they do have good templates and good designs. So
Yeah.
it is hard to mess it up.
Yeah. Is there out of those two? Because yeah, I feel like those are really the two best options for beginners. Is like a Squarespace or a Wix. Do you have a strong preference of one over the other when you're encouraging people in this route? As far as them building their own type of thing, do you have a preference out of those two, or just hey, check them out, see which one you like more?
Yeah, they're very different. Wix is more open for design, to customize details. Wix is more Square is more square. The name itself.
Yeah.
You work based on templates,
Hmm.
and you use the box mentality. That the real box mentality, where that is so important when building website. They use it that way. So if you don't have time to experiment, go with Squarespace and get a template. If you want to be a little bit more picky in the positioning and stuff like that, maybe use Wix, but I don't use either.
Yeah. Yeah. No. Exactly. Exactly.
I
Exactly.
am not an expert on either. I know them because, of course, I test every single web design tool there is, but I am not an expert in
Yeah.
those. I don't use any of the two, so I probably those two is the one,
Yeah.
because
Yeah. Yeah.
I understand and how they work.
Yeah. Well, real quick, so we'll go ahead and start to land things here. I did want to ask you, just when we are talking about websites, when it does come to websites, wanted to ask you what direction and encouragement would you give someone who they're looking at their website, they don't quite know, it's a business owner, they don't quite know, is this doing what it's supposed to be doing? Is this a good website? Is this not a good website? They had somebody build something. I love what you say about your unique value is that you're building striking websites that sell. So what are some of the questions that a business owner should be asking themselves when they're looking at their website to see if maybe they should look into hiring a business like yours to get a website built?
There is something very important when it comes to the website, and it's to understand where in the customer's journey is the interaction. Are they going to interact with the website during the awareness or interest part of the journey? Because once you understand that, then you understand what type of website you need. So the first thing that you have to figure out is, how are they interacting with the website? Where in the process are they interacting with the website? You bring them from social media to the website, or website is what going to push social media. So once you understand that, and you understand what is the website for, then you can start measuring if it's successful. Oh, I need my website to generate leads. Okay, show me your lead magnet. What is a lead magnet? So how are you going to generate leads if you don't have a lead magnet? Or what is it what are leads for you? So it's a little bit of that, understanding exactly what is the purpose of the website, and where in the journey map the client interacts with it. And that way you start figuring out. The other thing is that there are easy ways to see how the internet perceives your website. And nowadays, one of the best tools to use is Perplexity. You can ask Perplexity to tell you who's your website for. Okay, I have this website. My website is dancingpels.com. Who's this website for? Let's see if you're talking to the right person. Just start by figuring out if your website is talking to the right person. Because if it says it's for somebody else and that's not your audience, then your website is not talking to the right person. There's something called domain authority and topic authority. Domain authority, that is hard to rank for, because Amazon and Google and huge websites rank for that. but you can rank for topic authority. How much does Google and other search engines know about what you do? So you can talk, let's say, web design. My website is for web design. How is it positioned in comparison to the other websites that talk about web design? What is the topic authority when the keyword is web design? And it will give you a rank. And that way you start figuring out where you're positioned at in comparison to your competition. Very simple things that nowadays using Perplexity can be solved really easy.
That's awesome. I wasn't familiar with Perplexity. Is Perplexity similar to like? And again, I'm going to use more like insider language, so forgive us those of you that are listening. But is it closer to like a SEMrush or like an Ahrefs? You know, those
No,
like as
Perplexity is like ChatGPT.
oh, got it.
Perplexity
Okay,
is a as an AI uh, language model, just like ChatGPT, but specialized in web search. So
awesome.
remember that ChatGPT is not directly connected to the web.
Yep.
It's trained on the training that they give it. It nowadays can connect to the web. Perplexity, on the other hand, was born as a language model directly connected to the web. So it does not lie. When you ask stuff to ChatGPT, it hallucinates.
Hmm.
And what it hallucinates means that it gets creative and says whatever. That's
Yeah.
all. That's all. It has to have a balance between the truth and creativity because it needs to be creative. And sometimes it doesn't understand when it's okay to be creative and when it's okay to just tell the truth. And that unbalance is called hallucination. Perplexity does not lie. It only answers in a comprehensive way using the web. So it would always tell the truth.
That's awesome. So built into Perplexity, I'm familiar with domain authority because again, like you know, some of these tools have that, but even topic authority, those things are built into Perplexity.
No, no, you can ask and it will search.
Yeah,
It will
that's so
find
cool.
out. It will
Yeah,
use SEMrush or whatever to find out what's your domain authority and what's your topic authority. It's an expert searching and answering in a very comprehensive way. So it will search for you.
well, I know when I get off of this call, I know immediately what I'm about to go
I'm-
play on.
exactly. Yes. No,
Oh,
it is very important to and this is why I'm doing this because there are so many tools right now that you can use to leverage AI and be more productive. Exactly. To understand how the website behave, you need to be an expert using SEMrush or all these tools like Surfer, Web Surfer, and so many other tools. Understand how to read Google Analytics. Nowadays, you don't need none of that. You need to ask AI to give you the answer. That's all.
dude,
You
that's
need to
that.
understand which is the tool that is going to give you the right answer, but that's it.
Dude, that is awesome. Well, real quick, just rapid fire. Other than Perplexity, and again, we're not talking about like just advanced. We're talking to the business owner, things that they could grab right now. So I know you mentioned like Gamma wouldn't be one. Are there any other tools like Perplexity that you think anyone could integrate this into their workflow to learn more about the effectiveness of their website?
In a basic level, I would stick to tools like ChatGPT or Perplexity because it's easier to ask the questions. I use other tools a little bit more complex. I use one called um, Neuron Writer, for example. I use Neuron Writer to help me with the blog's SEO. You know, if I write a blog, I need to make sure that it's SEO optimized for certain keywords. And for search, forgot the word. For search intentions. It's not the same to ask about web design if you want to become a web designer that if you need to hire a web designer or you just want to know what web design is.
Yeah.
So search intent is important. And the use of these keywords is important. So I have a tool that would take a blog and tell you this is optimized for this search intent for these keywords. And this is the position is going to be presented in search engines. That's called Neuron Writer. That's also another tool that can do that. Surfer SEO, that it can also do that. And it's all AI based because it looks for other articles that are written about the same subject. It compares them, see what's their positioning compared to yours, and gives you score. So it's a very, very specialized tool for that specific thing.
Man, Julio. Well, I know next time I have you on, I know exactly what we are about to start diving into. Well, look, here's how we will wrap things up. One, I'm going to give just my big takeaway that if you were listening to this, I think every business owner should really walk away with this piece of knowledge when it comes to their website. And that is what Julio was talking about just a moment ago, is understanding what is the purpose of your website and where does your website interact with your target market in their customer journey. I think so many business owners fall into this trap of, like we were talking about earlier, Julio, about when you were starting off with your business, you kind of put out there all of the different things that you do, all of the services, everything that you provide. You still provide those things, but you put the tip of the spear as web design and you let that drive the conversation to the other things that you can provide to business owners. I think a lot of business owners fall into this trap of wanting to make their website be this catch-all. Like they try to optimize their website for every single part of the customer journey. There's pages on pages, there's links on links, there's copy on copy, there's images on images, and it just becomes this big, massive, bulky thing but instead they should get really specific with, okay, what's the primary goal you want this website to accomplish? And where is this website primarily engaging with your customer in their journey? So I think thinking from that standpoint is going to be huge for business owners to walk away with. And the last thing that I want to bring up is, Julio, if people want to engage with you, learn more about you, learn more about your business. I know you mentioned you have a YouTube channel, you have your business website, you're doing AI. Give us everything, man. How can we stay connected with you? How can we engage with you? What are the different platforms that we can connect through?
Well, I do have a YouTube channel. The thing with the YouTube channel is that it's in Spanish. I primarily dedicate the channel for Spanish-speaking people because there is very little content in Spanish. So this is why I
That's
do
awesome,
that way.
man.
But if you are not a Spanish-speaking person and you need a website, then you can contact me via LinkedIn. Of course, I'm in LinkedIn. This is probably my preferred platform to engage in business-related things. And if you forget about how to contact me, just perplex me.
Well, we're going to put all of the links for Julio in the show notes, in the description. So you guys be sure to check all of that out. Julio, this was amazing. Thank you so much for being a part of this episode. I did not think I would end a conversation with just wanting to talk about more things, because that's all
There's a lot of things
I want to
talk
do
about
now, man.
Yeah.
You opened up the can of knowledge, man. I really appreciate it. You delivered such tremendous value, man. I'm looking forward to doing it again.